Before we start, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're recording on. For me, that is the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation.
And for me, it's the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation.
It's a huge pimple.
What did you call it?
Angela Bernice.
Oh, you can't call your pimple your own self. You've got a name.
Says who?
You've got to give it a good name, like baked bean or something.
I'm going to call it Yvie Jones. Oh, no, because I don't ever want it to leave.
Well, yeah, and then I'd be sitting on your face.
Like you've always wanted.
Just like you've always wanted. Finally! Finally, you've got me there.
Thank God. She finally sits on my farts. Well. Look what we have here. This is Angie Kent, and I'm here with my best friend, Yvie Justice Jones.
Yay, it's me. It you.
Really me. I'm so excited that we finally get to talk absolute smack together again for all to hear. Not just you and I.
No.
But for anybody.
Oh, and there will be so much to listen to, really.
So much. Like my mouth is getting like moist, like salivating.
That's a good
Thinking
word
about
for everyone.
all the juicy stuff that's just going to pour out of these big old gobs.
Now you're making me hungry.
I know. I'm thinking of food too now.
Yum.
I got like
something moist and juicy. Angie Marie Kent, you said my entire name, which
I always do.
which is lovely. Thank you for doing that. Angie
welcome.
Marie Kent, it makes me think of how on your Wikipedia page you've got your name as Angela Bernice Kent, and for the longest time you thought I did that, and I never did that. You know,
Do you
I would.
promise?
I promise. I absolutely, on my mother's grave, promise I never did that.
You've added other stuff though.
So when you go onto your Wikipedia page, it says Angela Bernice Kent, born blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I've always thought, who on earth did that? And it's
Who
brilliant.
did it? I still
don't know
to this day. It just was normal, just Angie Kent,
Yeah.
not even my middle name, but somebody has randomly just picked Angela Bernice
Kent.
Kent.
Which I think is brilliant. Your name is not even Angela. It's
No,
not,
it's
not
just
Angela.
so
it's not
two
Bernice.
things wrong.
Yeah, so two things wrong. But so one Sunday afternoon, I was out drinking with my friends and I was telling them about it. And they were like, "Did you do it?" And I said, "I swear to God I didn't do it." And they said, "We should change it." And I said, "You know what? I can change it. Like you have to be a part of the Wikipedia community or something." And I did it ages ago. So I went on that day and I just added a name, and then we logged off, and then the drunker we got, the more we added we kept coming up with different names. I said, let's just keep adding them.
There's seriously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 middle names.
Now, do you want to read them out?
Angela Bernice, Janelle, Shaniqua, Marika, Marie, Stefani, Ebony Ray, Kent.
Penny Ray. We had to put in a bit of a Kath and Kim in there.
Epony, Raylene, Kathleen, Darlene, Charlene, Tessa.
It's just so random. Whoever started it, and if you're listening to this,
Yes.
would the real Slim Shady please stand up?
Please let us know.
I feel like you're a soulmate of sorts.
Yeah.
We have never found out. And that was when?
How do we
When did they do that? I think it was back after Bachelorette. So
Yeah.
that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. How do you even find out? I guess you could see who the publisher was, who would be credited to. It would have to go to something. So I think that's something we need to
Maybe.
look at for next week's episode.
Yeah, we're gonna put our investigators hats on.
Yeah, or our
But yeah.
producers will.
Yeah.
know
Let's
how.
face it. I don't even know where to begin. But yeah, no, I am not Angela Bernice Kent. This is Angie Kent and this is Yvie Jones. Coming at you live.
It's good to be back together again. The people have wanted it. The people have got it. So be careful what you wish for, the people.
You just, as a pussycat dolls once said, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
You just
Might get it.
And you got it. You got us.
You
You haven't got us
did.
on your TVs. You've got us on your ear holes. And that's even better.
Because we do have faces for radio / podcast, don't we?
We really do have faces for radio.
But the last time you would have seen us together was actually probably Bachelorette.
Yeah, Bachelorette, and before that, The Jungle.
But only for, we were together for ages
we
then.
went into The Jungle together, which was a really great thing because most people don't get to go into I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here with anyone, let alone their best friend.
We were so lucky.
Like from the moment we were asked to do that to the moment we entered the camp, because we were put in on the second day, there was no moment where we didn't just keep looking at each other going, oh, thank God we're together during this.
I know. Oh my gosh, imagine not having that.
How's me? I got the phone call, so I just thought they were asking me.
That's right. We were in Bali for our last family holiday with Tom.
I know, but how's I got the phone call? So I thought they were just asking me. So I said no, but offered you up for me.
You're like, nah, Angie will do it.
But
and they're
Angie
like,
will.
They're like, no, we
want
want both of you.
I went, oh, actually, well, maybe I might think about it then if it's the two of us together. Before The Jungle, we were on Gogglebox together. And that's how we ended up being in The Jungle. So we were on Gogglebox for 4 years, which is 8 seasons, 3 Logies, an absolute time to have of us sitting on that couch, drinking wine with our rescue dogs while we just talked crap about people.
Gosh, we've actually got off pretty scot-free, haven't we?
Oh, I think we've been told off a few times. We've had to meet people, celebrities,
that's true,
that have gone
that we've spoken about.
I remember.
What about
you
when
said
we
about
saw
me.
Dr. Chris and how many like sexual things I said about him? And then when you see me in person, I'm actually quite polite and nervous until you get to know me. And so when he brought it up, I was like, no. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, he's here in the flesh. I can talk about him like everybody does in the privacy of their own home behind their little keyboards and screen.
Because do you remember what you actually said, what we said about him?
Oh, it was something like wildly
Sexual.
Inappropriate.
We said,
like
I think it was me that said he can't be good in bed. You can't be that good looking and be good in bed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said, I bet you he's boring. I said, I bet you he's really boring in bed. But then he held a snake, and then another episode, and then I was like, I bet you he's really sexual just because he's holding a snake. And he was like, I remember everything you said. And I was like, oh my God, I feel awful. But he's so lovely.
He is so lovely, and he's actually in real life so charismatic and sexual. Like you just get this energy from him that's just sexy, dead sexy.
He is. He really stares for way too long.
He looks into
It makes me feel weird. I like it.
You get little tingles when he looks at you.
Yeah, I'm like, you kind of look and you kind of like look away and you're like.
And he has a smile, a smirky smile of, I'm going to get you.
He's like, I'm going to get you.
He's like,
I'm gonna
you know
get
who
you.
he is, who I imagine he would be like? He's the Australian version of Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I don't rate Matthew McConaughey. He
Not
annoys
until,
me.
But I reckon if you met him, he'd do the same. He'd have the same
Oh,
feeling.
he would.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting here saying all this stuff, and then I'd see Matthew McConaughey, and my panties would just be like dropping. He's a penny dropper.
He's a penny dropper, yes.
We do talk about eating disorders and mental health during this episode, so if that is a trigger for you, just skip through. What's happening this very week?
It's Body Image Awareness Week this week, which is wonderful.
And why do we want to talk about this? I think both of us come from completely similar but opposite kind of viewpoints. Not viewpoints. How would you say that?
Yeah, we definitely have the same viewpoints, different experiences in body image. For us, it's very important. I mean, I think for everyone it's important, but for women, it takes on an entirely different meaning, to have a positive body image. And for the longest time, centuries, the image of bodies, as far as women go, has been if you're not thin, you're not worthy.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about.
I think the mainstream media has really, really made it so incredibly difficult for women mostly to look at themselves and think that they are beautiful because they put up these images of people that are not real at all. I think it's really important that we even have a body image awareness week, that we are aware of our bodies. And no matter what they look like, they're worthy. They're worthy of love and they're worthy of respect.
I totally, totally agree. And I think it's so important. A lot of people, when they think of eating disorders, they instantly think of that, girl hunched over with all the bones hanging out. But it's not. It's all different shapes and sizes. We talk about it often, how much you just shouldn't comment on anybody's weight, even with weight loss. When people praise that and they're like, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. It's like, you don't know what I've actually been through this week in order for me to lose that much weight and then trigger something, not me in general.
Yeah.
Trigger something that's like, oh my God, if I keep doing that, will I keep getting that praise if you do happen to suffer with an eating disorder? That's something that people don't even realize, that you just shouldn't comment on that. And also with weight gain too.
Weight gain, weight loss. Diet culture, we have to reject it. We have to really start rejecting any kind of diet culture or fitness culture that robs us of living our lives, because that's at the end of the day what it does. What you just said then is, we praise someone who's lost weight. That entire week, all they've done is obsess about what they're putting in their mouths and what they're working off on their bodies.
Yeah.
And there's an entire movement called HAZE, which is healthy at every size.
Yes.
And I think that's something that we need to adopt internationally. That is the way we look forward at these kind of things, that you can be healthy at any size, at every size.
I feel like eating disorders is such we're speaking about it more, but I do feel like for so long I was so embarrassed. Mm-hmm. So embarrassed that I would go away and throw up my food, because I thought people would think that I'm a crazy person. Who eats their food and then throws it up? It had nothing to do with being skinny at the time. It was all a control thing.
Well, that's
and it was for my
what an
skin.
eating disorder is. It's control, it's power.
Yeah, and you start getting this attention that you didn't have, that you were looking for as a child too.
Yeah.
And then people started to care more and notice how skinny I was. And then it did become about how skinny I was.
Yeah.
But it never started off that I was always small, and I always had to exercise. It was such a Queensland thing to do, to be forced to do every single sport and that alone can cause an eating disorder, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with being skinny. I had the worst acne, and a naturopath said you are what you eat, and then it was just the manic at home, and there was the control. I can eat this food, but I can also pick when it is out of my body.
Yeah.
And it got to this point where it was like it was a drug, like that feeling of throwing up. I was so addicted, and I would release it, and it was like shooting up. Not that I know what that feels like.
No, that's it. That would be exactly what it feels like.
It's wild, and you just feel crazy.
You get a high from it, don't you?
You get such a high, but then once you learn about your eating disorders and where they stem from and why, and I just highly recommend a therapist. And the eating disorder never goes away, but you channel it.
Yeah, you deal with it. You cope with it. And a therapist is there to give you all the tools to cope with that kind of thing.
Yes, and you channel it elsewhere when you feel that trigger of not feeling good enough, or my skin breaks out. So normally I'd instantly turn back to bulimia. It was like a pattern in my brain. For so long I had to unlearn, and now it's like, well, no, you're stressed, so you drink more water, you go to bed earlier, you do more meditation, you don't do what you used to do as a child. Pretty much you got to unlearn those things.
It's such a self-perpetuating. Well, not self-perpetuated, yeah. I mean, it's just such a dangerous thing that we need to start talking more about body image and the acceptance of it.
Obviously, speaking about anything to do with body image or eating disorders is quite it's a painful topic to discuss. And I think, don't ever feel alone. Often we feel so embarrassed to come out and talk about these things out of fear of judgment, because judgment can cause such awful things in our body. Our somatic response to that judgment is just awful. But don't ever feel like you're alone. There's so many people you can talk to. Once I finally admitted it took me, oh gosh, it's too long. Don't let it go for too long, because once it's out, it's actually so much easier, and you can talk about it, and you find other people, and you're not suffering in silence. I think sometimes there's something nice in we're all going to suffer. We're never going to get out of that. So suffering together or healing together from the suffering, yeah, I really feel like definitely don't feel like you can't talk to people. You can talk to us. You can talk to friends. There's therapists. And there's all these amazing websites and Instagram accounts as well that we'll put in the show notes.
I could not agree more. And you know what? There is hope. There's always hope for you. This does not define you. An eating disorder is not who you are. It is something that you suffer from.
Yeah.
And there's help out there for you. So please know that shame is going to hold you back from talking about it. So let your shame go. Do not ever be ashamed of something that has you in the grips of it. There are so many resources. There's so many people to talk to. So never, ever give up and know that you are not alone.
You're not
There's
alone.
plenty of us.
It won't last forever. You'll always be recovering, but you'll just find little other ways to treat yourself now because you don't deserve that.
Absolutely. Well, remember, at the end of the day, you are worthy.
You
and
are.
enough.
You're held and supported.
If you do suspect that you have an eating disorder, the Butterfly Foundation is the absolute best, top of their game. They really know what they're talking about more than anything. That not only can they give you educational things, that they're there to help you personally as well. Well, Angie Bernice Kent,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about dating.
Oh, God. Me too.
I don't date. You know I don't date. Mm-hmm. I gave up dating a long time ago. And you know
did.
why. I have not completely written it off. I am still open. There is a tiny crack
Really?
in a window that is like, a hairline fracture that if you look close enough, you can see it. It's there.
Really? You still have a glimmer of...
There's always a glimmer. There's always
Good.
hope.
I just never know
Always.
with you. I never know what she's doing back there.
I can't find the cream cheese. It's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there. No, but you give me hope because you never give up. And you just get flogged time.
Oh my God, so sad. My heart bleeds for myself. That is morbid.
I've just made you out to sound like you just got such a loser of a life. You do not. You've always had wonderful relationships with friends.
You're making me sound so sad. Oh.
You've had some lovely relationships with men, haven't you?
Put crickets in. Put in tumbleweed.
No, you
look,
had
I
a very public breakup last year, very public get together, and then a very, not so public breakup.
No,
but
it was pretty secret.
We knew about it in the public because
Yeah, I
you got
didn't talk about
together
it.
in the public.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I owed it to anyone. Hey, like I gave them their happy ever after. What happens in the real world is none of your business. But I did anyway just because so many people asked, so I just shut that shit down. I think people forget how hard heartbreak is. Like, it is debilitating. It's like
It is.
when somebody dies, that's out of your control. The universe has taken that, or God, or whoever you believe in.
I mean, unless you've killed them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, in that case, that's a different
Completely
story.
out of your control.
But heartbreak is like they're still alive, but you
Yeah.
can't do anything about that. You sometimes don't want to, but that heartbreak of mending and knowing you have to go through the dating time again. But look, I took a solid year off. Like, I didn't date anyone. Like, I often find men jump into new relationships really quickly, not pointing at anyone, but they do.
No, they do. They do. They need to because they don't talk it out and they don't feel it out the way they do.
Whereas we go and get, like, I got bucket loads of therapy. Like, every week for like 5 weeks while I went back to Queensland in between that thing where the borders were actually open for a few months. And then I came back and I still did sessions with her on Zoom because I was like, I want to fully love and heal myself before I throw myself to anybody, because I wouldn't wish myself onto the next person back then. Like, oh my God, I was a liability.
No. And thank God you had the forethought to do that.
Well, you attract what you put out, right?
Yeah. That's right.
So you're just going to find another broken human. And I don't have time for any more of that. Like, I've got enough people to look after, and myself is a full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about relationships that a lot of people just don't get, that it's not about finding someone that you need to fix or is going to fix you or even complete you. That is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. Like, absolutely hate that romantic notion of, you know, someone else completing you. It's not what it's about at all. You're supposed to be who you are, and you find someone, you know, and the best way to do that is when you're really happy within who you are. I mean, no, not even happy, just in an acceptance.
Yes,
you've got this really amazing acceptance of who you are and all the faults that you have and all the wonderful things about you. And then you find someone that also is in that boat.
And they're open to, I think the biggest thing is everyone is always going to be healing. So it's whoever who's open to heal with you and accept you while you're still healing.
Yeah, while you're still working on yourself. Yeah. That never ends.
That's never going to end. And if you think that it is, no, it's forever. Healing is forever. But I did take a solid year off, but I did start to date, and I was like super excited because I met this like really nice bloke, and find out that, you know, rightly so, old mate doesn't want any more children. He's already got a kid. So then it's like, ugh, thanks, universe.
Did you have a really big discussion about that?
Yeah, huge. That was pretty much the only reason why we're not together anymore.
The fact that he doesn't want children?
He 100% doesn't even, he doesn't want any more kids. And I thought, in my brain and being who I am, and I think how I would take it is, if you really like someone, wouldn't you like to at least try and see? Maybe you'll change your mind if that's the right person. Because I always think that universally how we met and everything. But he doesn't think like that. And he then wants to put his energy into something that is going to be long term, obviously. Because with me, I'm always going to want the option to have a kid at the very least.
That would have been really emotionally in your heart.
It is. It was emotionally exhausting.
Like, that would have hit you right in your heart. Why don't you want to have a baby with me?
Yeah, that's what I thought. But it had nothing to do with that. It was just that he just doesn't want to go through. He's a bit older than me too. He just doesn't want to go through that.
Right. I was going to ask that as well. Like, older men wouldn't really want to have more children if they've already gone through that. But what has he gone through that has made him so scared to do it again?
You know me. I was all over that like a wannabe therapist. I was all over that like a rash.
How bad was it having a child? Has he got more than one or just one?
No, he's just got one. And they have a great relationship.
Little Chucky. He's got a little terror on the child. I'm not doing that again.
No, she seems beautiful, and he's got a great relationship with the baby mama. Everything. I just think, you know what? I sometimes find during that first few years when the baby just primarily only wants the mum, men that are really hands-on and need to be needed really struggle, that they lose their wife pretty much to the baby, and the baby doesn't really want them either. And they're kind of just to the side like a spare dick being like, how can I help?
That was my dad.
And it's like, he doesn't even go here. Like, they get jealous.
Yeah, they do. Well, they're used to having all the attention being looked after. You know, and that is an incomplete man. That's someone who has not been raised to, you know, be a really independent person. And, you know, the fact that there are even fathers who are not really involved and full on like the mother is wild to me, you know, because I think fathers can have just as big a role as the mothers in their child's life. And it's really sad that it is. My dad, he was one of those Australian blokes who never changed a nappy, never, you know, didn't do all that kind of thing. That was a woman's job. And we really suffered because of it.
Yeah.
And the relationship that I have with my father is really, you know, it's fractured because of that.
Yeah.
You know, everyone says, oh, there's nothing like having your mum, but there are certain humans out there who have a relationship with their father that's so incredibly important.
So beautiful, yeah.
Like, it's such a beautiful connection, and I've always been really, really jealous of that. But
yes.
how do you, like, getting back to the man saying that to you, Were you in some way kind of relieved that he was so open and honest about that? Because you know what? There are so many men who would not tell you that.
I know. Or just keep me around because right now they're feeling satisfied and they're happy, and then it's like, oh, well, that's her problem. She doesn't want the kid. No, he liked me enough to be like, you deserve the option and I just can't give that to you. And I like you so much that I want to let you go, because I was like, let's just hang out, because like I was like, I don't want to go through another kind of breakup, and I was enjoying this so much again. Like I'm so protective of my heart, so I was just like, you know what, and you know, I'm in Sydney now, so going back into a lockdown, I was like, I want that. He was like my best friend every day for 2 months too. So I was like, no, let's just, doesn't matter. Like that's the baby that doesn't even exist. Let's not even think about that baby. And he was like, well, no, because down a year from now, I'm going to keep falling for you, and you're going to go, okay, I want to have a baby now. Bye. He's like, that's not fair for me, Angie. And I was like, oh, I'm selfish.
You're at that age too, where you really are thinking about, you know, if you're not having the actual baby, freezing your eggs.
Well, yeah. And I want someone to be there for that, not be like.
You know, can I just say personally, I think he's crazy. Like, I really do think he's crazy to even put that out into the future, to think you know what you want at this point in a relationship.
I think. I'm like, you could change your mind after getting to know me for 6 months. You might be like, I can't even picture not having a baby with you. Or we would just be like, yeah, nah, but what a great little love safari we've had. But he doesn't even want to try it. So that really upset me. And I had to work through that with my therapist because I felt unloved. I went back into the old Angie patterns, like, why am I not good enough? But it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me.
And that's, at the end of the day, he has made that decision, and that's all about him. And that's a part of his character, I think, that he has got such forethought to go, this is exactly what I do not or do want in my future. It's like, mate, you don't know what your future holds, but if that's something that you think you do know, good for you to know really early on that that's how he looks at his future. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Well, anybody that can say, you know, their lifestyle is that great that they don't want a baby in there. I mean, the guy's not 50. He's only in his late 30s.
I know. What's so bad about babies?
Look, we don't know. We've never had one. Maybe they're shit.
No. I think babies are great, though, as long as you can hand them back.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't be able to, would he?
No, well,
you can hand it over to me.
Hand it over to you. Maybe that's what he's done in the past. Anyway, I don't know. We don't know. It doesn't matter.
I'll find a man or woman or non-binary or whatever that wants to have a baby with me one day.
We've known each other for 10 years, and I've always said I think that there's a little gay Angie in there.
Yeah.
And I can see you with a woman or a queer person. I really can. I think that they would get you.
Yes.
And I think that's why straight men and you,
I think they love the idea of me, and then they get me and they don't know what to do with me. They're like, whoa, she's got so many opinions and she's so her own person and she wants to do everything on her own. And they're just like, no thanks, bye.
Would you be open to us getting you onto a queer dating site or something?
Yeah. Oh my God, I don't even know what ones there are. Well, I know there's Grindr and that, but I don't want it for sexy time. I want it to find a partner time.
Yeah.
I've already had my sexy time.
There has to be like a Tinder for queer folk, Quinder. I don't know if they haven't made it up yet. Can they make it up now? Quinder.
Well, I'm on that, is it Raya? And there's no queer girls on there. They're just all straight hot model girls that are there for friends maybe.
Yeah, Raya or Rachael, whatever it is, that's for people with blue ticks.
Oh, blue tick dick.
And just so you know, I found out about Raya about a year ago, so I applied for it.
Yeah.
And I'm still on a waiting list. And you found out about it a couple of weeks ago and you got accepted straight away.
Ageist.
What?
Ageist.
It is ageist.
But then they don't get rid of the 50-something-year-old dudes that are sliding into all the young girls' DMs, are they?
Creepy. Yeah, no. Isn't that mean that they didn't accept me?
I don't think you'd like it. It's a little bit... It's a bit boring. Look, I've had a few chats.
It's a dating site at the end of the day. So I just thought maybe it'd be a bit more private.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like online dating, but I'll give it a red hot.
But I think we should definitely online date with you.
Online dating segment with Angela Bernice Kent.
That was our very first episodes. Please head to wherever you get your podcasts and rate and review the show. You can get in touch with us directly by emailing the podcast at 2girls@novaentertainment.com.au. I can't believe, Angie, we have our own email.
I know, so exciting.
And don't forget that you can follow Nova Podcasts Official on Instagram for all our behind-the-scenes action. It's very exciting.
It's all happening.
It's all happened.
It's happened.
And it's going to keep happening.
Yeah, it is.
Until next week, see you later.
Bye.